illustrator and an art historian. I create surreal and abstract paintings, weird imagery. I am probably the most known for my series New World, which is basically just planets, weird planets flying around in the universe. And the more I've created, the more life appears on these planets, so they do develop in a way. And I also really like to paint strange faces that are resting. I think it's because I like to paint because it's very meditative and it makes me calm. So I paint calm faces. I can be inspired by anything, really. It can be the color of the flowers in the window, or it can be a texture on the sidewalk. I love things that you can feel. That's why I really love textures in paintings also, and I feel very inspired by artists like Alison Skolnick, who is an American artist. She paints with oil paint, which is completely different from watercolors, but she experiments with the texture and she kind of works it with the canvas, and I just love that. It makes me want to paint. I actually started painting when I was a little child. When I was 8, I got pretty serious about it and decided that this is what I want to do. And as a teenager, I went to this little art school and I painted with oil paint, which I thought was just an awesome medium because you could get gradients. It allows you to work for a long time. And so you could really work the gradients like in skin tones, and I just loved that. But and then I actually applied for the art academy, and then I wasn't permitted access to the school. And I decided that, okay, maybe I need to do something else, and maybe I'm not good enough. I actually thought I wasn't good enough to become a painter. I decided to study art history instead, because if I couldn't work with the painting like practically and artistically, then at least I could work with it theoretically. And I started studying, and I actually stopped painting for a long time. But then I started again a few years later, and I discovered watercolors, and I just fell in love with them completely, because they are really, really difficult to control. At least the way that I paint is very difficult to control, and I like to think of my works as controlled accidents that are not that controlled, because I actually have to get rid of a lot of the paintings that I start on because I don't like how they turn out midway. But the ones that I do like, I continue working on. But watercolors is like magic, because you don't really know what's gonna happen. You just have to go with it, and that's awesome. My process is actually very rarely planned out. I don't do sketches. I don't like to do sketches. I do them sometimes, but I prefer not to. I just really like to start painting, like on like a day where I can paint whatever I want. I will say today I'm really, really liking blue, so I'll pick out different blue shades and just start painting with them. And something happens. It starts becoming something that I didn't plan, but it becomes something probably very subconscious, really. But that's also why it's magic, because you don't know what's gonna happen. You're just gonna have to go with it and see what happens, and something grows on top of the paper and it becomes a finished piece at some point. What I really want with my pieces is that they can make the viewer calm, because this world is pretty crazy and there's a lot of shit happening all the time, and I just like art to be soothing. And actually, if I create something that I can see resonates in the viewer, like I see it sometimes in people's eyes, it just means something to them, it makes sense. That's the perfect moment, really.